Welcome back to On the Same Team, the podcast where we talk about building championship teams, whether you're on the field or in the boardroom. I'm your host, and every week we dive into habits, culture, collaborative spirit that drives high-achieving success in business and in life. As the owner of an insurance agency, I see the parallels between sports and business daily. The drive to win, the need for a cohesive unit, and the relentless focus on the customer or the goal is exactly the same. My mission is to share the playbook for greatness, and I couldn't do it without a great team supporting me. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce our new co-host, making her debut on the show. Please welcome Katie Betsworth, a dynamic account executive with Lamar Advertising right here in Sioux City. Katie, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be back.
Today, we're also absolutely thrilled to be joined by Dave Miller. Dave is a mortgage loan originator at U.S. Bank in Sioux City, where he leads the mortgage lending department. Dave is not just successful, he's a top 10% national loan originator and recipient of multiple Legends of Possible awards. But what really puts him apart on our team is his commitment to culture. His leadership philosophy is built on creating an environment of excellence and respect, where team collaboration is the engine for critical problem solving and an unwavering commitment to the client. We're going to discuss his path from auto sales to becoming a top mortgage professional, how he builds a team that truly works on the same team, and how his community involvement from Habitat for Humanity to the Dakota Valley Trap Team reflects that collaborative spirit. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jake, and hello, Katie. Thank you. I should probably let everybody know that these guys are my friends, too. It's an honor to be on your broadcast. And I thought today we'd talk a little bit about maybe some things that maybe we can all get our heads wrapped around, some things that are probably going to sound familiar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how we can kind of incorporate it into our lives. I like to use the term weave it, weaving these principles into our lives. It is true. I'm a Sioux City guy. Been around for a while. I'm 56. I love Sioux City. Matter of fact, I'm the type of guy, if we're hanging out and somebody says, hey, there's nothing to do in Sioux City, I'm the type of guy to say, hey, maybe it's time to move out of mom's basement. Because there's a lot to do in Sioux City. If you look, my demographic, I'm 56. My two kids are professionals. They have moved on out of college. And so it's allowed Katie, my wife, and I time to kind of give back a little bit, to look for some of those things, right? And it's difficult to get involved in the community when, you're driving your kids all over and back, right? And you know how that can be. And so keep that in mind, if it sounds like I'm doing a lot. Well, I mean, I was at where you're at, and I totally understand that. I did went to college at USD, and then I got into the car business afterwards, and I enjoyed it. I did pretty well at it. I did it for 8.5 years.
Where did you start at?
Well, I started at the local Pontiac franchise, and
which probably doesn't exist anymore, right?
Not in the same name, no. It's worked its way through ownership. I actually went with it from Schreier to Hoke, and they moved me over with all the file cabinets. And then I believe it's owned by Billion now. But I stayed at the same dealership. It just happened to exchange hands. And then a friend of mine who was also in the car business told me about another friend of his that was a mortgage broker. And he goes, it's a great career path. And so I looked into it, and I basically taught myself how to do mortgages. I started this by going to the courthouse and digging up leads. Back then, we didn't have data mining the way we have it now, where AI does everything. You had to go into the basement of the county courthouse and grab public information, and then I would cold call people. And I built my career around that, and then eventually started doing purchase money. And I got a phone call from the folks at U.S. Bank about 15 years ago, and they asked me to join, and I did it. And it allowed me to hang out with people like Katie and like you, Jake. And I'm like, yeah, who wouldn't want to hang out with these guys?
Yeah, it's been awesome to get to know Sioux City Dave here. He's the one to know here in town.
Yeah, is that who gave you that tagline?
I think there's a table full of people that were up in Okoboji that decided that something had to be done with this guy. And,
we got to label him to keep him where he's at.
Yeah, I'm going to go with what they say, and we'll just, call it good. But
Yeah.
so at Sertoma they call me Dave Dude. At some other circles of friends they call me. My mom calls me David, and that's all that matters, right?
So what was like the catalyst? So in my office, one of our agents is a former car salesman, went to USD, kind of followed the same path as you. He might even have been in car sales for about 8 years, honestly, but he did it while he was at USD and then did it full time. And I know what his motivation for getting out of that industry was. Just kind of curious what yours was and why
Yeah.
you decided to move industries, but.
Yeah, I got into it because my older brother did it, and he seemed to like it. And he says, you can always get a job selling cars. When we grew up here in Sioux City, we always looked at, well, you can always get a job lugging beef. We always had a worst case scenario, plan B. And then when I said, okay, so you can work a lot of hours, make halfway decent money, and not lug beef, yeah. So let me try that. And so I did that, and then, but it was family values that prompted me to listen to some options. And I wanted, my kids were starting to get old enough where they were getting into sports, and I knew there'd be a lot more of that in activities. I actually kind of a visionary on the way I think. I don't things, and then I'm able to describe it very vividly, right? And so I saw myself in the future on my deathbed going, what are all those Saturdays worth to you, Dave? And of course, priceless, right? And the quality time that we want to spend with our loved ones and stuff, you just can't put a price on that. And so I've always, as salespeople, we were talking about that earlier, how sometimes we struggle with, the blend, right? The personal life. Some of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about today. So Katie and I met, for example, and she's clearly we're told in life, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, and I believe that wholeheartedly, and I typically do not have that problem, right? But you also want to hang out with people that are like incredible, like literally you say the words incredible and the way they go through life. And so it's like, well, how do we and work and do this? And so what I've kind of done in the last couple of years is I utilize these like Sertoma and Habitat, and I ask my friends, strategic friends, to join certain boards with me, or maybe we go join a new one together. And so I feel like if you have the right support group around you, if you have the talent around you, it doesn't really matter if you're selling cars or insurance or signs or whatever, that I can call one of my peers or I can call my manager, but I have people around me that I prefer that look at life the way I look at it. And I want to know what they think, because they're doing the same thing I am, and they're trying to connect. So I use those things as like, hey, why don't you join this committee with me? And I know that I'm going to have them for a 1 hour coffee every third Thursday or whatever the calendar is. And I know that subconsciously I am storing questions or whatever. So when I get that right person, one of my gifts is I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody and run something by somebody, and most people, when you get a call from somebody and they say, hey, Katie, can I bounce something off you? They're going to do it. They're going to give you the best. And those are the type of people you want to be around. But you actually have to use your connections, and not be afraid to get other people's opinions and to ask, hey, how would you do this or whatever.
Well, and you're doing yourself a disservice by not asking people for help.
You really are.
They want to help. They can help.
They do.
Yeah, they might have an idea that you didn't even think about, or someone else that might fit your role in a board. So
that's right. And you go to somebody, for example, and it's a great way to size somebody up too, on who are we going to strategically select as someone that I want to hang out with. You go up to somebody and say, hey, can I run something by you? And they'll go, yeah, do you mind if I call you back? Yeah, sure. And then they never call you back. Okay, that's a no. They're telling you we're not compatible. Or some people don't think the way we think, right? Some people, they're a little more competitive, and they feel if I share with you, I'm going to lose my competitive advantage. And that thinking is not horrible thinking. It's, in my opinion, so maybe a little outdated, but there's a lot of really high quality people in the Sioux City area. I mean, go to one of these coffee shops, right? And at any given time, pretty dynamic atmosphere. If you're looking for some networking, people pay a lot of money for this. They pay money to
Now,
get involved in these networking things.
Dave,
Yeah, Jay.
I would agree with that, unless you go to the coffee shop inside the car dealership that I tried to meet with you at. That was our first. That was, I think, I don't know how we got connected through Tim, and then Dave and I were scheduled to have coffee, and I Googled, sent him the address, and he calls me, "Hey, I'm here. I've never been to this coffee shop before," and it was the one inside Vernite, and I was at the one at Sunnybrook, right by Target, and I'm like, "Dang, I didn't even look at the damn address before I sent it to him. I didn't even know there was a Stone Brew in Vernite."
Hilarious.
And I'm in the dealership, and I'm thinking about taking a couple ups.
Dang,
While
it's a
waiting for
nice
Jake.
car.
I might go meet and greet somebody, and open the door and say, "How can we help you? What's it going to take for me to get you in this car?"
Yeah. Oh, you probably could have sold a few. It was, honestly, I'm very thankful you called me. You weren't just like, this guy stood me up. That son of a gun.
Oh yeah. I bumped in. I use another thing I wanted to kind of share with you guys is something that I use, technology, right? Outlook Express calendar reminders. I live by these things, right?
Never used them.
What you just said reminded me of one where we had a guy interested in joining the Habitat board, and I made a few phone calls. I mean, this guy's a quality guy. We definitely want this guy, right? And so I had it all queued up, sent it, thought I sent it, didn't go, and it was in. And we all know what happens. And so me and my executive director there, Shayla, and I'm like, I think we got stood up. And I called him, and he's like, you were going to get back to me. And I went in the system. So very rare situation. So like if I have one of these groups and I'm looking for people to join it, I will send out a reoccurring calendar event to remind them, hey, I'm going to be at this place on this time on this day. I'm going to be at this place here. I think some of the younger kids, and maybe you do. Do you do any like Snapchat or some of the stuff where I'm like, hey, I'm going to be at this place and use that for marketing or networking? Or?
I don't typically use Snapchat. I use a lot of Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So, but yeah, I live and breathe by my calendar. So if it's not on there, it's not happening.
Right.
So.
That's funny that you do too. I mean, we match up on so many things, and it's like without that, because then the reminders, and I have to have the appropriate reminder, whether it's a 15-minute or 1 hour, depending on how important.
It has to pop up on my watch, otherwise I forgot about it.
It doesn't have a cattle prod option. Yeah. Can we get past that? Maybe get something to zap me to remind me.
Yeah. I mean, I would think Apple could invest in something like that. You just have to sign a waiver, right?
The end result is it is on your target, the individual that you have targeted, it is on there reoccurring. In this one particular case, I try to get people to come to lunch, and it's Sertoma. It's every Friday. I'm not going to be there every Friday, but text me if you're available. You got to eat. You got to do something. You might as well come have some chicken with us. We have a speaker there, so it's kind of fun. You learn an inside track, and then it allows us to spend some time together and find out, okay, what else is going on? What are you working on? And you just get that FaceTime that is just invaluable. It's critical, and that's how you develop those personal relationships. So you get to the personal relationship. You look at somebody like Katie again, for example. We call Katie's a center of influence, right? And everybody who knows her knows this about her. And I've talked about the concept of, okay, so you have your cousin who is an advocate for you, right? Who's going to send you a deal. You have Katie who's going to send you a deal because she's an advocate. It's like, well, what's the difference between your run-of-the-mill citizen and a center of influence? And I describe it this way. So imagine everybody here who's watching this maybe have been at the chamber event, the annual dinner, right? And there's maybe over 100 tables. There's like 1,000 people, and each of these tables has 8 people at it. And the same conversation happens at 2 tables at the same time. And somebody brings up the fact that they are buying a house, and The regular Joe says, "Oh, you should call Dave Miller. I did his loan. He did my loan. It was great. Blah blah blah." Right. Same time, Katie is saying same words, same everything. I used Dave. He was great. You should use him. Okay. End of story. Right. One of them is going to call me 99% of the time. Katie's contact is going to call me now. The other one is going to go, "Oh, okay." They're both going to say, "Oh, sounds good. I'll call him." And they might even have my card. Who knows, right? How easy they're going to make it, right? The other one might call, okay? And the difference is that her friends and her people who follow do not want to disappoint her.
I'm following up.
So this is like Kardashian stuff, to be honest with you. So you look at the concept, the last thing they want to do is to disappoint Katie because she brings so much to their lives. They consider her a friend. She gives the $500 hello. So the concept is everybody's gone through Hy-Vee, you're going down the bread aisle, and all of a sudden you hear, "Is that Jacob?" And you're like, you recognize the voice, you turn around, and you know who it is, and they're going to give you 100% of the attention. There's probably going to be a hug involved. There's no half-ass about it. It's all in, and it elevates you on a new level. And you walk away, and you're like, that's a center of influence. If someone's ever had said hello to you, and like literally it changed the rest of your day, that's your target. Okay, that's the person you want. And at the same time, that's who you want to be. And if you're not sure how to do it, start hanging out with those people and start acting like it. You fake it till you make it. And here's the deal, you never really make it. Because we keep on working on things, right?
Yeah, I'm not perfect, and if I can learn from somebody else at any point in time, I'm running with it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But
we try it.
We try.
If it's not our thing, we're going to try something else.
Yeah, everybody's personality is a little bit different. So, trying new things can only elevate it or, hey, work.
But we all recognize what works and what doesn't, right? And we're all capable of going, okay, that one, nope, not going to act like I'm hangry. I'm going to act more like Katie.
But I could be angry.
Well, you could be.
Yeah. No,
I love that,
that's a
though.
very good point.
I love that. I love you call it a $500 hello. Is that what you said?
Yeah, back in the car business, Doug Johnson, a good buddy of mine, great salesman, he would say, it's a $50 hello. It's a standard, welcome to the dealership. We're actually happy you're here. I'm not hangry. I want to be of service. I want to be your car guy. So that 8 years from now, when you get a flat tire, you're going to call me up. I'm going to take your call, and then I'm going to tell you, go fix your flat. But if or whatever, and so it's a service thing. I also believe that overall in life, you're supposed to figure out what you're good at and give it away. And again, you look at an individual that is on their deathbed. It's really easy to digest that, right? Money has no value, okay? Because you could ask a billionaire, what would you pay for another week with your family? And he would say, all of it. I would gladly pay all of it. And so we know that money isn't what does it for us, right? We know it's important. We wanna, and if you're gonna make money, you might as well make a bunch. It's okay. But that's not who we are. That's not what motivates me. And somebody might say, well, yeah, Dave, you're 56 and you live in a fancy house. It's easy for you to say. And I'm like, hey, Katie and I lived in, not this Katie, but not my wife, Katie, lived in a garage, okay? During college, nobody starts at the top. And so it's through due diligence and it's through, principle-based living and things like that get you there.
Yeah. And I think, just being a wrestling coach, that has always been something that, we preach about the process and just enjoying that. And I think it's something that I've tried to bring into the business world too, and remember, right? Like now I pay people to do the work that I used to just motivate people to do, right? Like wrestlers, you motivate them to come practice, work hard, work toward their goals, and none of it was monetary. There was never something, especially in wrestling, even if you're really, really good at wrestling, you're not going to make that much money. You could go WWE, and some of them do that. Brock Lesnar, right? He never got rich doing the actual sport of wrestling. He got rich in entertainment later, right? So it's just a very rare thing that monetarily wrestling makes sense. But the hard part is to bring that over where you are paying somebody to do a job, but you still want them to do it because it's something they're passionate about and they just want to be successful and they want to live with purpose. And it's the second time I've referenced this book, but Man's Search for Meaning. Have you ever heard of that book or read that book by Viktor Frankl?
I've read a lot of like interesting human natured books. I love those. I haven't read that one.
Yeah, that one's it's about a psychologist that was in a concentration camp. And so, he just looked at the psychology of, what was happening in that experience and then, went on and continued his passion of, just understanding people after he got out. And, he just talks about, how you both can probably agree with people that volunteer their time typically have a higher level of happiness, because it's not the monetary gains that you get from working. It's the experience and the purpose that you get from working that really elevates your happiness. So, it's a great book. It's super short, but it's pretty powerful. So Viktor Frankl, The Man's Search for Meaning,
that's
is a
cool.
pretty good one.
I might borrow that one from you, Jake.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But it's just, again, it's something that like every guru talks about, right? But it's hard to actually grasp it sometimes because money is such an important thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm on board with you. And yeah, I think, again, like you said, Sean, your people that are of the same mindset's the key, right? And not everybody is, and that's fine too. Another thing I learned in coaching, they talk about 3 different coaches. All of them are great, but you have to align yourself with the athletes that want that type of coach too, right? And when you align yourself like that, everybody's happy. When you're not aligned, no one's happy.
And
that's the same with networking.
That base principle carries over through all aspects of life. I don't know if I made this one up or not, but if
we'll go with yes.
I'm going to claim it right here. Copyright Dave Miller, 2025.
You have it here.
If it doesn't sting, you're probably not doing it right. And it matters when it comes to saving money, for example. And you're like 20%, 10%, 30%, whatever you're saving. And you're like, yeah, you are not able to go to the movies this weekend because you're not able. So you are disciplined. Discipline stings. If even in relationships are not always perfect, and they're never perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. And God bless my wife for putting up with me. And I'm like, it
Amen.
stings sometimes. I mean, good things sting. And like you're talking about working out, right? It's the process. I mean, let me tell you something. These guys' muscles are aching how bad it's stinging, okay? And we learn from our failures time and time and time again, and those things will sometimes make you cry, And I mean, if you must struggle, you must. And if you're not, sometimes in relationships, it seems like they're either getting better or they're getting worse. And when we go into this, hey, no, we're actually at a plateau or on neutral ground. I don't buy that. It's just declining so slow that you're not aware of it until it gets to a certain point, and then you become aware of it, and you're like, oh, shit, I haven't been adding any money to that savings account, or there's been no pain. I took the easy route. And so, I don't know, is that where down for the struggle came from?
I don't know, but you're right. I mean, every growth hurts sometimes, like if you're not feeling it, then you're not doing it. Right?
You're not doing it.
Yeah. So you just have to keep pushing and challenging each other to do better. And that's both professional, that's in your personal lives. Like if my friends are, not trying to do something different, or they're just, stagnant in what they're doing, that's not where I want to be. I want to be with people who are doing more things in their community and getting out there and talking to each other, because that's where the magic happens. That's where, you start building something really cool.
It seems like the only, and maybe there's an argument here, but if there ever was an exception, for example, we look at when your kids come in, they take a test and we say, how'd you do? And they go, I got an ace. And you know what they say? They say it was easy, right? Like, well, it may or may not be easy, okay? They take a trigonometry test and come home, it was easy. I'm like, yeah, but I heard you were the only one that passed it. Now we're talking about a gift. We're talking about what makes people different. Like some people, like Jake was a wrestler and he was good at it, and I might be down for the struggle, but this guy would mop the mat with me, and I'm gonna pick my battles. I'm big into your strengths, right, and what you're good at, and like I should not use my sand wedge. I should not have it in my bag. It's not my strength. I should just break it and just carry a lighter bag. Because if you're one of these things, if you're afraid of heights, they say, oh, you should go on an airplane ride. That'll fix it. I'm like, no, you are not meant to be up that high. You shouldn't be cleaning windows if you're afraid of heights. So I'm a big work with your strengths. Put your fast guys at wide receiver. Put your big heavy ones at the line. Put your leadership at quarterback. That is your team. Those are your specific goals that you're good at. If you're going, hey, I try to make it struggle or I try to make it sting, but it's just still too easy. That is, you have found your gift. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have found what other people around you are willing to pay you a lot of money because it's easy for you to do it, because it's your natural gift that you have. We all know where it comes from, but it's just something that's what makes you an individual. And that's where people who are super successful, they're utilizing their gifts. They're not utilizing their weaknesses. They're utilizing their talents.
Yeah. And I think understanding that is really important, right? Is self-reflection, know where you're strong, lean into that. I always, talk to my guys about, like, I loved wrestling. Going to practice was easy for me. And when I went there, I worked as hard as I could, spent 2 hours very, effectively and efficiently. I hated lifting weights, but I also knew that was good for me too. So I did that part, not enjoyably, not, very begrudgingly, and didn't enjoy it. Always tried to find somebody that loved it that I could say, hey, I'll go with you. And then make sure they text me and be like, hey, you're coming, right? Yep, I'm coming. So it's like you have that weakness and you work on it, but also lean into your strengths. Like, let's not ignore where you're great at. Continue to run that. Like, I knew I wasn't going to be the strongest wrestler. I was trying to be the best wrestler that was getting stronger, right? And that was kind of my mindset of, like, I'm good at wrestling. That's what I love. I'm just going to keep focusing on that. And I'm going to try and add a little bit so I don't fall behind too far in other areas. So I think that's, same thing in life, right? If you're great at talking to people, don't try and become an actuary. Lean into something where you're talking to people.
That'll kill you. I mean,
you might want to get better at math, but let's go to where you're strong. And, I think that's, why you are probably strong and you involve yourself in these other groups, because you're a good people person. You like connecting with people, and that's obviously where your strength is, right?
But here's the deal. I was not, the car business taught me how to communicate with people. Okay. I mean, I came from a big family. I was labeled as a good listener by my parents and my uncles, and they liked me because I didn't talk. And
that's great in sales too, though, right?
Well, it is. It's actually very key. But the concept you're going, hey, Dave's major, whatever. Well, let me tell you something. You don't fall out of your mom that way, and you gotta figure things out, and you have to be comfortable in your own skin, so to speak, and you've got to work on it. And there's plenty of times I've drawn blanks and felt uncomfortable and whatever, and that stuff. It's like, okay, those are those failures. There's groups in town that are designed to help you learn how to speak. Toastmasters, I think, I went and watched it one time. It was cool and everything. I love the fact that people are trying to do public speaking, and I'm like, how cool is that? And it's available. It's but the wingman thing, I'm a big wingman person. If I'm going to an event, I need to know at least one person that's going to be there. Yeah. I really, really feel better if I know some. If I had to, yes, that's painful. If I go in there and I start seeing familiar faces, oh, thank God, But once you get in there and you're in your vibe and you start rolling, that's when you start pulling other people in and you start taking risks. And you go, you know what? That person, just based on their handling of themselves based on what I hear about them, yes, that is someone that I'm going to select and get to know them and go up and literally hold out my hand and say, "Hi, I'm Dave. How are you?"
First few networking events I ever went to, I didn't know a single person there, and it was just like, all right, like let's just feel the feels and start talking to people. And now, you walk into those rooms and you know everybody, and it doesn't happen overnight. And not everybody is necessarily going to flock to you, but like you find, you just have good conversations with good people, and a little bit here and a little bit there, and it starts building. And then 2 years later, like they're some of the best people you have in your life.
Yeah,
and
you don't know what you would do without them.
yeah,
I mean, you literally get to a point where you're like, "Gee, many Christmas." The people around here are just amazing, and so it's super cool.
Yeah, I saw something today where it just said networking is so amazing. It's like you go somewhere and you don't meet anyone, and then you meet that one person and your whole life changes, and that goes for both of you.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel that way when I go to chamber events.
Thank you.
I want to get into a little bit about some of the groups that you're involved. You talked about kind of, pulling people in and getting people more involved and using that as a conduit to build the relationship. What are some of the organizations? I know you already said
Thank you for
Sertoma.
that. I wanted to give a shout out to Sertoma, and Sertoma's been wonderful. After I've been in there about 7 or 8 years, and then they asked me to, go into leadership, and I'm like, "You sure you got the right guy here?"
Well, you're the Sertoman of the year. I know that, and maybe
Well, I was
back to back to back. I don't even know, but I know at least once.
I think what we do is we give that to people, and then we're like, "How about you be the president?"
You're the best. We need you.
There's tactics involved, I guarantee it. The thing of it is Sertoma, what a lot of people don't know is Sertoma is service to mankind, right? It's an old school service group. It's like Lions Club or Cosmopolitan Club, or some of these other ones. Yeah, they're networking groups, but we actually have a primary mission is hearing health. So if you want to be a advocate for your community, you want to be a center of influence, you need to know these things, right? Because if your uncle needs a hearing aid and he can't afford it, that's what we do. We buy people hearing aids that they can't afford it. We have events and we raise money, and that's what we do with our money. Just like the Lions Club does glasses, Cosmopolitan Club does diabetes. And so, I always look at it as like, how can we be of service to our people if we're unaware of what's available for them, right? And it's like, yeah, you can go buy your friend, or you can go personally buy your uncle a hearing aid for $2,400, and that is wonderful. But not everybody can do that, and that's what we do. We're plugging a hole, and we're like one spoke in the wheel, like Habitat for Humanity, which Katie and I are both involved in. That is plugging a hole in society, and it's amazing. And so you get a bunch of people pushing in the same direction, and then I always like, whatever event we do, let's have fun. Let's make it amazing. Let's have that bar set really, really high. Let's make it sting a little bit, where we have to put some effort into it, and we have to hold each other accountable, just like we do in the other areas of our life. So Sertoma's incredible. Habitat's incredible. I'm also the general manager, and my son and I founded the Dakota Valley Trap Team. So we shoot clay pigeons. It's a sanctioned sport in South Dakota, and I think we're on our 8th season. And so I weave a lot of the stuff we do. I'm a range safety officer. And if I get a client that, the concept of them maybe dusting off their shotgun before hunting season, I'm like, why don't you come up with us? And why don't you shoot with us? And so I weave all of it together, and try to, that is Dave, Dave makes money. Yep. Dave spends money. Yep. Finances, whatever. But that's, this level of servitude, and that's what does it for me. And so it's a great life, to be honest with you. I mean, who wouldn't want to sit next to Katie here right now?
Well, what kind of challenges did you have to overcome when you started weaving everything together?
Well, the biggest challenge I had was have faith and taking risks in it. And because it's like we're I think our brains are a little more cubicle, and I'm mowing the lawn is a great great way to explain this, I suppose. I love mowing the lawn. It's a very simple thing. I love getting those lines super straight. I love the smell of grass. And it's like, I get done mowing and you're done, right? The mower got put away and everything.
You can see what you've
Yeah,
done.
you see what you get done. It is a task. Task has been complete, and that's wonderful. And so this thing that we're talking about is like never done. Okay, this thing called life is just constantly evolving, and so it's like, okay, well, how am I going to blend Habitat into a U.S. bank mortgage loan officer? And I'm like, well, I can be of service. I'm familiar with real estate stuff, right? I can blend that in. And so then you start, okay, well, I can do that. Now, how am I going to do this? How am I going to justify going to have lunch with Sertoma on Friday? I'm like, well, if I have people like Katie around me, they're going to give me deals. They're going to be like, oh, Dave, you know what? My friend's buying a house. Would you mind calling her? That happens, you know. It's keeping, but it is a risk, right? Because some people were like, how can I do that and do this at the same time? How can I, you know, we all work with our cell phones wherever I'm at. I'm conducting business, you know, at any given time. You know, I might say, hey, excuse me, I have to take a business call, you know, and that's just part of it. So I always worry about missing a call over a sales call. Even vacation's terrible, you know. Like, and my wife's like, David, put the phone down, my man. It's like somebody's got to pay the mortgage around here. Not that she doesn't do it. So those are the risks. You just must. You must. It's difficult. It's hard. But once you start doing it, and then you get positive feedback from somebody who's also doing it, and it's like it seems to be working out here. You just chip away at it.
Yeah, and I think like for me, leaving the office and going and doing those coffees and those lunches, very difficult. I like accomplishment. I like A to B, and I like to work hard. And sometimes going to coffee feels too easy, and it feels like I'm not moving from A to B, and it feels like I'm not accomplishing. But typically, those are the things that you build a relationship. And instead of moving from A to B, you move from A to C, right? And I have a performance coach who always reminds me it's who, not how. And you're one person away from meeting your goals, right? And that's always, kind of what I remind myself and just continue to push that. And I always get energized too. Well, that's the other thing that I have to remind myself. Working and just going from A to B takes a lot of my energy. And sometimes when I remove myself from that and I go have a coffee or I meet somebody new, energizes me to a new level, and I'm fired up to get back and to, get back to work basically. And it's not that you're not working when you're at those things and networking and building relationships, but I understand how it doesn't always feel like that, so you hesitate to do it, but there's so much value in there, and it's
We have to
the who, not wow.
We have to remember to remind people. Oh yeah, yep, get it. You have to go through the motions, right? Do you know anybody? And we can all do better jobs at everything, right? And when I look at what you just said, it's critical, and you're like, oh yeah, I have to remind my friends. Do you have anybody who's looking for a house right now? I let people know, and a lot of times they're like, Dave, what are rates at? And so maybe I'm the banker voice out of our group that day. I'm like, well, we're at here. This is what we're seeing. This is what the bank is doing. But sometimes it's my banker friends. It's like, yeah, well, right now we're running a 24-month interest-free credit card that's really building some excitement with some of these people doing home projects, right? And so I need to know that, and so we want to be a service. We want this data. We want to collect all this data so that we can share it, and so that we can elevate our people, including ourselves. One neat thing about Jake, that Tim Jager, a common friend of ours, says you guys should get to know each other. And I'm like, okay, well, so we took a risk on each other, right? We went to the wrong coffee spots, but we ended up sitting down. And Jake has this deal as his contest. He likes to do fun things, right? And one of the first ones he had was that the prize was $1,000 gift to the charity of your choice if you sent him the most clients. And I'm like, this is exactly the type of guy I want to work with. It motivated me, and I'm like, he gets it. when we give things to our friends, like if you get a gift card, one of my favorite things to do is to give it. I used to give it to one of my kids, or or you re-gift it, right? And it's like, we all love to give cool gifts. Well, how cool is that you get to be the one to present a nice donation? You're associated. You're the reason why your charity of choice is getting this. I mean, that's huge, and it tells me Jake gets it. And I was super motivated. I didn't win that one, and I was bummed, but I've won other ones, which is amazing. And he always has these really cool dynamic things. And you know what? They're network-based things that it made me. Now I know the names of like 3 of his employees. We know each other on a personal level. The 3 of us are actually looking at taking a tour of the Sioux City distillery. We're still ironing out some details there, where my people from the bank, her people from her place, Jake's people from his, we're all going to go out together, and we're going to use it as an opportunity to walk together and have fun and learn about this amazing thing that's going on in our community. Why wouldn't we do it that way? It's fun.
Yeah.
But that all kind of stems from you, Jake. It's not like I wouldn't have liked you if you didn't have that idea, but it really set the tone for who you are, and it cleared all the questions out of the way. So me hanging out with you was no risk involved.
Well, I think
you listen to Tim.
Referrals are like the easiest. I don't want to say easiest close, but it's a lot easier to close someone who sends you, that is sent to you by a center of influence.
For sure.
Yeah.
A warm lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
We call it a nice, juicy, warm lead. And
Mackenzie
and I are we're making some headway. It's hopeful. She's from the community. She's a DV kid. We know a lot of the same family. She's like, oh, you're Nick's dad, or oh, you're Abby's dad, or whatever. Yeah, that matters.
Yeah.
But that's part of living here and being here for 56 years. You're going to meet some people,
Yeah, Katie, what's your saying about Sioux City?
It's the biggest little small town.
Yep, there you go.
It is, and everybody, and yeah, again, referrals. It's like if everybody around here knows something that you don't know, and so you got to get out, you got to ask questions, and just tell people about what you're doing, and eventually it'll trickle all back to you.
You've touched on this, but I want to just dig into it a little bit more. Habitat for Humanity. What's going on with that organization right now? I seen Shayla just sent me something about some Halloween themed stuff.
Yeah. Shayla Becker, the executive director, just does an incredible job connecting with people on a level that they're just not used to, and
she's contagious.
She does. She charges your batteries to like your cup's overflowing, and then I'm way more effective. If I go spend 20 minutes with her, I'm good for like 4 hours, before I get angry or before, road rage takes over or whatever, and it's like, so I'm motivated to, as a board member, to keep her happy and to keep her here. As far as Habitat, just kind of to make a couple statements about Habitat, we don't give houses away. We give interest-free loans away. And so
that's a unique thing. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand is like people are buying the house from Habitat.
And they own it, and they can sell it a week later. They'd be crazy to, because they're going to make equity hand over fist, right? But because everybody knows I'm a banker, I'm the first one to that. We're in it to make money. Interest is what we do. And you take that one portion out of the payment, and it goes from a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $220,000 house, which is a very base house. Okay, there's no luxuries, there's no marble, no granite. I mean, it's a very safe and adequate housing. But the total payment's $1,200 a month. And so, did you know the Castle on the Hill? That's what rent is like. Think about that. Castle on the Hill. It's not the Taj Mahal. Is it safe housing? Yeah. That's how much rent is there. And so so we vet people. They come in, and every year we have a window of opportunity. Part of the process is they have to be denied by a traditional lender. We're not looking for somebody that can just go buy a house and has $25,000 in the bank. The best way to describe it is somebody that home ownership is like just beyond their reach. We see a lot of single moms with kids that work. They have to be able to, we do debt to income. We figure it out, make sure we're not going to put somebody in a house that they can't afford. Maybe they didn't have a dad, and maybe they don't know how to mow a lawn. Maybe we show them how. And so what we do is we don't do it for them. We walk with them. And maybe they didn't have the resources available or the people around them. Like we have this amazing support people around us, and it blows us up. Some people don't have that, and we know the benefit of that. And so we walk with them. So, on the 24th, we're having a trunk or treat. Shayla is fired up about it. She called the city, Sioux City. They have a trunk or treat department. They're actually, it's a community involvement, but they're like, yeah, we want to get involved. That's what we do. And so she's getting it done, and we're really excited about it. So it's going to be here Friday, the 24th of October, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. The Sioux City schools get out half days on Friday, which I didn't know that, but these people know these things. And so grab the kids, go get a snack, come down here, and have an amazing time.
It's at the Habitat building?
It is.
Can you educate people on what the Restore is and kind of the function of that within Habitat a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So we have I think it's somewhere around $1 million budget, and about a third of it comes from our Restore. And we have donations, and we have mortgages. People repay the principal, okay? And then we bring it in, and then we do it again.
Mm-hmm.
We have deals made with the Sioux City schools, so they are building, I think it's our second house now, which is so cool, the concept of local high school kids that are literally building the houses. We have 3 events during the construction: groundbreaking, the stud finding, where you can sponsor a stud, you write a little message on it, and we actually build a house for that, and then the home dedication. The Restore is basically a kind of a flea market / hardware store / we might have it. You might want to stop by and pay 1/3 the value on a brand new item. We have a lot of brand new items. We have a lot of lightly used furniture, and Tim is our manager out there. He just does an incredible job. We are one of the places in Sioux City that if you have something, what we like you to do is we like you to snap a couple photos and email it to us, and then he'll come and get it and take it off your hands.
Nice.
And
so you don't even got to take it there.
you don't even have to take it there, no. We'll schedule it. We have a truck. It's gorgeous.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have deals cut with the window company, Gherkin Windows. They donate between every 8 months to 18 months. We get a shipment of windows from these guys donated, and they might be just off by an inch, and so it didn't quite work. And so these are brand new windows that you can buy for pennies on the dollar. It's incredible.
The paint.
The paint
huge.
is amazing. A gallon of paint these days, quality paint, $60, $70 a gallon. We have brand new paint, and it's like $20. There's standard issue colors, right? So if you're looking to paint a shed or paint something that it doesn't need to be the height of fashion, come see us and buy some paint. We have brand new paintbrushes.
I'm going to send Shayla a message. I'll buy every white 5-gallon that comes through that door.
Dude.
Yeah.
And we have, light fixtures.
We have a standing order.
We have a lot of people come in and know this, and they actually go, probably shouldn't say this, but they'll go resell the stuff, That's the value that we're talking about. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So any type of rehab project that you don't need brand new, you just need something that's maybe 3 years old and is lightly used, that we get brand new vanities.
Mm-hmm.
So, give us a try. It's not a call down thing. It's a stop by and check it out, digest it, and understand what we do and what we have, and then that'll give you a good idea, because we typically always have a couple couches to pick from. We typically always have a couple dining rooms to pick from, dining room tables.
Accent chairs. Those accent chairs were on the floor for like 30 minutes
Yeah.
from Hard Rock. Hard Rock dropped off a bunch of stuff from a remodel, and those chairs were gone. We had calls from people that were looking for
That's
them,
right.
and it was just like, just stop by and see what's here.
hotels switching out their TVs. All of a sudden, we'll have 30 TVs, and they're massive, and they work perfect for your garage, and they're $30 or some
Mhm.
insane great deal,
Does Shayla ever? Does she put anything on like Facebook or
Yeah,
basically you got to? She
yeah.
does. There's like a
Yep,
Facebook restore.
that's what we recommend people do is to go and follow us on social media on Facebook, Siouxland Habitat for Humanity. It'll pop up, and start following us. Absolutely. And Tim does a good job. So we take those photos, right, that the people send us, and we boom. So these guys are really good at it. They're able to crank out the data real quick.
Nice. Go ahead, B. Katie.
I was going to say one of the projects we've been tossing around for a while now is to take an armoire or a dresser and rehab it and then resell it as an upgraded unit for somebody here, just to raise a little bit more money.
That's right.
It would just be really fun to have an interactive community-based event like that, or even to do it on your own time and bring it down.
That's right. We're going to be bringing back the company builds to where if a company wants to do a team building experience, and we're going to have you come and paint the house, or
That was my gig.
we actually do rehab stuff too. Maybe it's so. There's
I've done a clean out for Habitat. I've done 2 clean outs.
You have, yeah, it's cool.
Wrestling team was very good at that.
The Sleep in Heavenly Peace, which is one of our charities in Sioux City, I just love it because everybody can understand it, and I'm kind of giving them a shout out just because it's a.
Did that just happen? Did they just have an event?
Well, these events, when they drop off the beds, and these little kids are jumping up and down on these brand new beds. They've never had a bed in their life, and they have brand new like Yoda sheets or whatever they want, And I'm like, I have yet to do that. I want to do that, and so I'd like to do something to partner with those guys. Actually, we build a house and we put their beds in it, and let's get it going. Let's do something really amazing.
Well, and I don't know if it was a specific event, but I know that I saw that Baumgars just had a big conference and they built 100 beds for them.
Yeah, that's what I seen too.
We want to do that. The concept of us mirroring those guys, because they are doing an amazing job, and I'm like, I've been at the bed builds.
It fits perfectly with the whole habitat for humanity.
Yeah,
people are
seem
moving
like
into
parallel
this home,
missions.
They've got to fill them up.
That's right.
I love that. All right. Got 3 more questions, and I'm going to get us out of here, Dave. I really don't got anything else to do. Probably customers calling me, but I'd like to keep these at an hour, and happy hour's coming up, so we got things to do, right? First question, one book that you'd recommend, Dave?
Probably The Millionaire Next Door.
Okay, never read that one.
It's about, it was a survey that was done from, and I think it was like, I don't know how many, if it was 1,000 quote unquote millionaires, and they asked them all the same questions, and then they realized they all had the same answer. And everybody's heard of the brown bag millionaire, the guy who's a millionaire, you don't even know it. And it's like they drive a 3-year-old Buick, they do this, there's a pattern, and it's fascinating stuff. So I love that.
I would love that book.
I have probably about 10 to 15 books that I really, really would recommend. But
yeah,
that's definitely the top.
Yeah, that one would be fun. I love data-driven books, and I'm not like a huge data guy, but I guess I kind of am because I love those books. I read, a few books similar, right? It's like we studied these people, and this is how they operate. Like those get me fired up. Yeah, I'm a glutton for those, and so I'm gonna look that one up. That'll be fun, and I'll put it in the show notes so other people can too.
I'll tell you what, I'll bring it. I'll bring it the next time we have coffee.
I'm a Kindle guy, Dave. I don't read regular books.
I like.
I was going to trade you for that book that you were talking about. But.
Yeah, I got it on Kindle, but I don't even think they let you share anymore. Like they weren't making enough money on people sharing books on Kindle, so I think they took it away from us. But yeah, my whole family is Kindle. So if anybody is listening and they have kids, Kindles for the kids has been a game changer. Like my son wasn't a huge reader. We got him a Kindle. The kid reads every night, and he went from like a struggle to the kid can read now. And it was all about just finding kind of what he enjoyed. And he was reading just comics for like the first year, like comic.
Matter is everything. I remember the first book I read that I put it down and went, wow, that was incredible. It was The Boy and the Sword in the Tree. was just a young kid, and it's about King Arthur, and I'm like, that was kind of
Was
cool.
it Sword in the Stone?
No, it was a knockoff.
Oh, dang, I've never heard of that one either, Dave. Sword in the Tree.
Same kind of thing, and but same thing. It was when reading is fun, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's
And
cool.
yeah, I mean that was it for my son William. Like, and I mean it's just been awesome. And I tell people that all the time. Like, even my 7-year-old's got a Kindle now, and that little turd reads it, and I'm like, that's pretty awesome. Like he's not a big book reader, but he'll read his Kindle. I think 2 nights ago he came out there on the couch. I was watching something football, and he had his Kindle with him. He's just like gonna read comics on his Kindle, and I'm like, that's pretty awesome. So that's been a huge parenting hack for me. So, but I'm a Kindle guy, but I'll look that Millionaire up and I'll catch it. So I like that. What's a habit that you do daily, that you try to do daily at least, that you think's been good for your success, or you don't?
I work out and getting heart rate up, and when I don't, I miss it. And if I go 2 or 3 days, it's like, oh my God, I have got to get back to that gym. The gym resets my biological clock, I think. It's the sweating, it's the cardio, and the stress reduction. I can have the crappiest day, and if I worked out, I'm like, well, at least I got to work at it. I got something to hang my head on, and it's one of those mowing things where it's checking the box. It's a task that was completed. And personally, I need that. I need to feel like I got something done. And it's a health and wellness. I want to be around for my kids and my grandkids and maybe even great grandkids. And I want to enjoy this thing as we go through it. And so that's important to me. And I try to incorporate that.
Nice. All right, last question. If you had a day with 0 responsibility and your phone was not ringing, what would you do?
If it was like I get a pick, you mean?
Yeah, you can pick something that your wife would prefer, but
I would want to have a party and do some day drinking and maybe go to a football game or atmosphere or tailgating with delicious food and a lot of people that I care about and that I can laugh with. Laughing is huge to me. I have to have a good time, otherwise I'm not happy. And so it would definitely be fun. It would definitely be entertaining for me. And, something along those lines. I mean, it can be a lot as long as I got the right people around me. It doesn't really matter if we're floating down the river or if we're at a tailgate or if we're doing a podcast with Jake. I mean, it has to be amazing. Okay?
Well, I have one question. If you could meet one person in history, who would it be?
Oh, Jesus, for sure.
Sorry, Jake. I have to. This is the one I wanted to ask.
yeah,
It would be Jesus.
nice. Have a beer with him, right?
Who wouldn't want to, have a couple glasses of wine with Jesus and philosophize about life and some of those, ancient questions that, the question is if you're talking to Jesus, would you get straight answers, or would it be something that you'd have to dwell on your whole life and maybe figure out once hopefully you meet him again and he can say, no, this is what I meant.
Well, yeah. That's awesome. There's you ever seen the movie Michael?
Oh yeah, the angel.
Yeah,
John Travolta. That's a great movie.
Great movie.
I like
A lot
how
of one-liners and
he put a spell on the lady in the show. I'm trying to remember her name, so that she wouldn't fall in love with him because he's an angel, and all these women he goes dancing, and so I actually use that line, and I'm like, well, you don't love me because I put a spell on you. It's the same thing that the archangel Michael does.
I don't remember that. I remember him. I watched when I was a pretty young kid, but I remember him saying, "I invented standing in line. Before me, everybody's just mulling around." And I said, "Why don't we get in the line?"
Oh yeah, there's just a bunch of them.
I'll have to rewatch that one.
Yeah. Well, the reason I thought about it is they're coming out with another angel movie, and Keanu Reeves is the angel.
Oh, Keanu Reeves is?
Yeah, but it's rated R.
I heard,
and I was like, "Oh, that's not as good."
I don't know if you saw the first Constantine with Keanu Reeves, which is a pretty amazing movie.
Yeah.
He's doing another one. I heard. I don't know if that's what you're referencing.
No, this isn't that. This is like an R-rated Michael movie is what it looks like
Oh,
in like
really?
in the advertisements, and remind me, I'm like, I'm gonna make my kids watch Michael. Like, I love making my kids watch 80s and 90s movies, and at first they're like, this is so old, this is awful, and then they'll wake up the next day and be like, can we watch that again? I'm like, yeah, that was good, wasn't it? And I
I'm
feel
looking
like they're
forward.
gonna love Michael.
I'm looking forward to the new Highlander. Back
Oh,
in college, we were big Highlander fans, and
oh
one of my
yeah,
buddies, Dave Brown, he says he didn't, but he named his kid Connor McLeod of the Clan
oh
McLeod.
yeah.
He named his kid after this movie, and I'm like, we all thought that was the coolest thing. You should name your kid Connor.
Now I'll probably have to wait a few years and let my kids watch that one. There's a few key scenes that probably they should be older than 7 to watch,
It
right?
was Andy McDowell was the actress that was in
There you go.
Michael, and she was like the reporter, kind of amongst the reporters following her around or whatever.
I get her and the Dreyfus lady kind of mixed up. So you're right. I was thinking it was Dreyfus, but it definitely wasn't. So glad I didn't say that, but now I did. Now everybody knows I was wrong, and you were right. All right. Yep. Well, where do people find you, Dave, other than at Sertoma at Pizza Ranch on Fridays?
Yeah, you can friend me on Facebook. I'm a social media guy, and I use that stuff. I use it for good, and you can call me. I'm at 501 Pierce Street, U.S. Bank, or you can call my friend Katie, and she'll tell you my number.
I'll get you to him.
Yeah.
Do you
Thank
use
you,
LinkedIn
Keith.
at all? I know you
Yeah,
got a LinkedIn page.
yeah. I know this sounds weird, but you can actually Google Dave Sioux City, and I'll pop up.
Nice. That's right.
So yeah, just Google me. I mean, I
Got
know that sounds pretty stupid, but
Google
For
is the way.
Dave Miller, you gotta find a way.
yeah, sometimes Bernstein pops up. We've talked about this, and I'm like, there's other Daves here.
We'll link your Facebook, your LinkedIn, so people can find you.
Thank you
And
for
I
that.
I appreciate your guys' time, Katie. Thank you for joining me and keeping. Not that anybody ever needs to like energize you, Dave. You always have a ton of energy, but I appreciate you, Katie, coming on and coasting with me and Dave. It's been a
Thank
lot
you,
of fun.
Jake. You're doing a great job over there at Morningside Insurance Group, and you got a great group of people.
You do.
And I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb, pal.
Well,
Keep up
thank
the
you.
good
I'm
work.
pretty blessed, and it's just like like I had a blast when your team and my team got together. That was a ton of fun. It'd be fun to do the distillery and get more teams involved. I think those things are always a blast, and it's just like again going to coffee. You get energized when you meet great people. It's just taking the time to invest in it. But yeah, that was fun, and obviously people enjoy being around you because you do things right. That's a good thing
I
and a lot of
try.
fun.
I care.
You do. Well, thank you
Thank you.
guys. Appreciate it. Tell Shayla she can have her computer back, get back to work.
We got a little bit of battery left, so we'll get it to her.
That's good.
Nice. All
She
right. See you
loves
guys.
you,
Thank
Jake.
you.
All right, we'll see you.